So yeah, it was because we have so many members that are aspiring filmmakers. I'd like to ask questions about your origins.
Sure.
So, do you want to talk about how you became a filmmaker?
I mean, my family are not artists, any of them. I kind of just like was a kid who was very curious and into music, into storytelling. And I remember making like little comics illustrated with a friend about sex workers actually when I was 11.
Wow.
And filmmaking wasn't a path that I saw as like a career option for me because I had nobody close to me doing it. But always loved movies, and I went to college for engineering. I did 2 years of that, but I felt like it was soulless, and then I just kind of went against everybody's expectations of myself and decided to do what I loved the most, and went to school to learn how to tell stories and got a major in communications, and then started working in TV and commercials. But I was living in Miami at the time, and there wasn't like a big filmmaking community. It felt like everything that you wanted to do in the narrative space was so hard because people were either in it for the money, the commercials type of rates, and as a kid out of college, you can't really put together like a group to make shorts or whatever. So I did that grind for like 8 years and then kind of burned out and decided to move out to LA because a really good friend of mine had just graduated from his master's in screenwriting. And we started collaborating on Blast Beat the Short. And that's kind of how I came out here and started making narrative films. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
That sounds a little bit like what I did. I worked in the corporate world too for a long time.
Yeah.
Same thing, soulless, heartbreaking.
Yeah.
And then moved to LA.
Yeah.
And went to film school too.
You just have to like bounce around and see where you stick, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So Blast Beat, the feature played in Sundance, what year?
2020.
2020.
Yeah.
And then how did that lead to becoming the director on this? Because this film, Ponyboi, was a short yes. First that was in Tribeca.
Mm-hmm.
2019?
I think so. Trevor, our producer who's sitting right there, Trevor Wall. Yeah, give it up for him. Yeah.
So River was the writer-director on the short.
Yes.
So then how did you meet River and become the director of the feature? Why did River not want to direct the feature?
Well, I think at Sundance 2020, Trevor saw Blast Beat, and I think River saw it after the festival. But they were already looking to make Ponyboi into a feature film, and I think the conversation was that, River wanted to concentrate on their performance and also, having written the script, taking on the directing, task just like felt like too much of a load to like really take on. This time around, they did a phenomenal job in the short, but I think Trevor and Mark and the whole group that was trying to make the feature, they felt like they needed to invite somebody else to like help push this boulder up the mountain, right? And I had a general meeting with Trevor where he asked me what I wanted to do next, and I think at the time I said like I want to tell stories about youth in trouble or troubled youth or something like that. And he was like, well, I have something for you. So that's, I read the script and I loved it. I mean, I thought there was so much depth to it, but I'm not queer. I'm a cis Latino man, and I thought was kind of on the fence. Am I the right person to tell this story? But I just thought that it was a perfect prototype of a story of somebody who has to like shed their own skin and you kind of walk into a new definition of themselves. And as an immigrant, that's my journey.
Right. Yeah. I saw part of your Sundance interview where you were talking about this and also talking about River sort of helping you get there to this world. So did you and River have a lot of conversations about their journey?
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, it was super important for me to like, in order to feel safe and like the proper ownership on the film, I needed to first like invest time with River, like get to know them, get to know their story, how it inspired this piece, but also we went out to New Jersey and kind of riding around, seeing the sights, the places. We went to Point Pleasant.
Nice.
And just
so River's actually from Point Pleasant?
No,
Okay.
I forget where in Jersey they are from, but like they spent a lot of time in the boardwalk and the shore and growing up, and I wanted to kind of see the world where the story is from, but also get to know their family and kind of break apart, all the things that, all the familial tensions that exist around this subject. And what I found was something very different from what Ponyboi goes through, but also a lot of similarities between my own family of like, the sort of like conservative expectations that your parents kind of put on you. The sort of person that they want you to become and to like carry on the torch of the family name or whatever.
Right.
Like that's so pervasive in the Latino culture. And I felt like Ponyboi was myself, even though I'm not queer, like it's a journey that everybody can relate to. And, I think that I was so welcomed by this group, by River and the whole queer community that had been championing this project. I just felt safe. Like I really did feel like, they're giving me the reins of this to dig in and find the emotions that speak to me. And if they speak to me, they will speak to a bigger audience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's such an incredibly real, lived-in performance. Like
Yeah.
I think River's a fantastic performer, and I just, when you have somebody in the lead role who's that confident and that just becomes that character, it helps you. It helped me emotionally connect with the story so much.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about finding your other actors. You have Dylan O'Brien.
Mm-hmm.
You had, I knew it was going to be
Victoria Pedretti.
Marie Bartlett, Victoria Pedretti, and India Moore.
India Moore, yeah.
How'd you get? Dylan O'Brien has a very large, very significant part in it. He's also fantastic. How did you sort of decide that he's who you want? Had you seen him in other films?
I had seen Maze Runner and some of his, like teeny bopper, heartthrobby stuff. And to be honest, at first, just by the prospect of who he was or what he was known for, it didn't really excite me. So we had a laundry list of like all the the heartthrobs out there, the Jacob Elordi's, Barry Keoghan, but they were all busy. And we just like worked ourselves down the list, and our casting director Jessica Kelly and our producer Mark Angner, they were like super gung ho about like, you gotta talk to Dylan, right? So we did, but I was at a wedding in Mexico, and the day that we had the call, I was like super hungover. So I was like taking all these awkward water breaks like mid sentence, and Dylan started making fun of me in a very Benny way, but also like being super genuine and friendly and interested in the subject matter. He shared with us during the call that he has a trans sibling. And so I just knew that he was going to care about this movie and really go fully in. And at the same time, embodying the essence of the character. This guy who is striking physically. Like he's the guy you love to hate. He can be friendly, but also scary at the same time, and has that physicality and that, that confidence level to really try to make a turn in his career as well, to go this dark. And
Right.
that was, I mean, it was meant to be, because literally we had a long list of people that we wanted to audition for.
I had seen him be kind of like a gangster character in The Tailor with Greg Rylance. Did you see that movie?
No, I haven't.
I mean, he's not as over the top in that as he is in this, but I kind of knew that he had that side. He could be like menacing and charming, but menacing and scary. So what about Victoria Pedretti?
Victoria, I had seen her in The Haunting of Hill House, and I was just super impressed by her emotionality. It was like so on the surface. You can, just by looking at her, you can feel what she's feeling. She's amazing like that. And it turns out she's also at CAA with River, and they had met each other at an event, and River kind of put it out there, and she was interested, and so like it kind of came together fairly easily. And then something similar happened with Murray Bartlett. Like I had seen him in The White Lotus, and I was like, wow, who is this guy? I need to meet him, and I need to work with him. So I put him on my pitch deck, because dreamy cowboy, And when I pitched him as, my vision for the cowboy, River was like, oh my God. Like he came to our screening of the short film in Tribeca, stayed after the show, met me, like we became friends. Like I can call him right now. And so basically that's what happened.
Will you? I like
Well, we all.
I like to tell him how hot he is. He's a super fox with that beard and that hat.
He showed up to the fittings. He had driven down from New England and to Jersey, and like showed up in jeans and a white T-shirt, all scruffy. He's like, "So, what do you want to do to me?" I'm like, "Nothing." Yeah, literally.
And then India Moore.
India, I think through our casting director, we wanted a trans actress who had the weight, the street cred, if you will, to kind of help River hone in that scene, because there's so much kind of hanging on that moment where they have the heart to heart, and they were also friends from the community, and Indy was just super interested from the beginning and signed on the minute
that scene's fantastic.
Yeah
because you don't see that character except for in that scene. You hear about that person. You come and you're like, oh, this is the person who doesn't get along with them. And it really just stood out. It was like so memorable, and it's very touching.
That day was our hardest day on set. Like we were facing mutiny from our crew. Just all our night shoots, like people were just exhausted, and we had a lot of extras, a lot to cover. The climactic scene, for the emotion of the movie. It was very tough, but it was magical the way that we, the three of us, India, River, and myself, got to work during the scene to like put things in both their ears and have them just naturally dig in and take these emotions out. I mean, that scene, they worked on it together to write it and to flesh it out, but like when you have to perform, it becomes very challenging. But like I feel like when you put together two actors that care so much about each other and are really there for each other instead of for themselves on the screen, that's when you get moments like that.
I have to confess, I really related to this for one particular reason, and that's the hormones. And the reason is I'm not trans and I don't take hormones for transition, but I have to take hormones now for menopause. And as is the case for the trans community that needs to take hormones, that you see in this, doctors are really tough, and resistant to giving hormones or anything.
Mm-hmm.
And it's crazy because they totally gaslight you about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, I just felt like, I didn't relate to it like a trans person would relate to this film, but I related to the difficulty in people not understanding your needs
Mm-hmm.
and not doing what you need, even when you're saying, I need this to live a better life, to live the life that I should be living. They're just like, no.
Mm-hmm.
So I really related to that on a deep level.
Yeah. I mean, it's such an important thing for this character and the journey that they go on. During my research, I consulted with a very good friend of mine who's a doctor for trans medicine. And well, my first question was like, why would a person that's going through this transition need the hormones so bad? When they're running for their life, and like she was telling me, like, well, if you don't take them consistently, your body just goes out of whack, and you start feeling miserable. You literally don't feel like yourself. That was the first thing that like really became a key, like a kernel of knowledge that really helped me kind of put everything into place. But at the same time, like you were saying, like people take medical advice so seriously. It's they almost don't want to like color outside of the lines when it comes to that stuff. And for a character to like question it, challenge it, and then go in the opposite direction, it really takes a life crisis like this in order to make that decision.
Right.
And I found that very empowering for people to like really check in themselves.
So the look of this film is really fantastic. Do you want to talk about how you decided what the look should be and how you plan that with your DP?
Yeah. DP Ed Wu, by the way, also a film independent fellow, amazing, really good friend of mine. This movie is very subjective. You experience this story through Ponyboi's, point of view. You're in his, neon bathed like crime world. But you're also in his head living, traumatic memories, but also these projections of what they want to experience in their life, finding true love, finding acceptance. And to calibrate that, we decided that, we wanted to show these memories and these, the longing for love and with an optimistic lens, because Ponyboi is trying to find healing and trying to find that acceptance with his family, but also within himself. And I say himself because Ponyboi goes by he, him. River goes by them. So it's kind of confusing.
Right.
But and then for the world outside of Ponyboi's head, New Jersey as a character, we wanted to be as objective as we could when Ponyboi wasn't on the screen. Kind of like from a proscenium level, try to capture the raw grit, the industrial texture of New Jersey and the Turnpike, and that's why you feel that contrast, with dark shadows and saturated colors. On the other side of that is Ponyboi's optimism and love, which feels very warm and soft and glowy, and also like the visual language for Ponyboi, like the camera's almost like with him all the time, like it follows him, like it feels very like it's glued to Ponyboi. But when he's not there and we were with Vinny, like the camera's a little bit more violent, like it whips to Vinny, like it's like trying to just like catch up at times, and we were very motivated by 70s thrillers, that feel dirty, that feel like the camera like fell in a puddle. Like, it's like we don't fucking care, but we do, and it was beautiful, the way that a huge part of the look and the texture that the image has comes from this filter that we got in our case of like filters. By mistake, we ordered a black promise and we got a white promise, and we were like, "Whoa, this is incredible! Who would have known?" So we went with it. Yeah.
Nice. Happy accidents.
Yeah,
right?
happy accidents.
We were talking outside about the scene in the diner with Ponyboi and Murray's character. Is he just called the cowboy or
Bruce?
Bruce. That's right, Bruce.
Yeah.
And how I was saying, I found that scene amazing because I realized to the end of it, there's nobody else in the scene. It's supposed to be at a diner.
Yeah.
Because I'm not a filmmaker, if I was making a diner scene, I'd be like, well, we gotta get some extras here, right? It's like a waitress and like everything going on, but there's nobody else in it. But sort of, at the end of that scene, it makes you question, okay, well, why that choice? And my mom, when I was watching the screener for this at home, my mom was at my house.
Yeah.
And when the end of the movie comes and Ponyboi like drives off by himself, my mom was like, I thought she got with that cowboy. What happened? What happened to the cowboy? And I said, Mom, the cowboy may or may not have been real. Maybe the cowboy was only real for Ponyboi. And she was like, oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Is that the reason why you decided to do the diner scene?
Totally. And if you go back in the movie, which is kind of fun, to try to like look for all these little clues that we sprinkled in there, like nobody else looks at Bruce, or regards him in other scenes. And it was a lot of fun to try to calibrate that because, Bruce is everything that you long to have but can't. This perfect image of the man that you want to be accepted by. The polar opposite of what your dad was. This movie is filled with that symbolism, and and who better to bring it to life than Murray Bartlett?
Right.
Yeah. He was just so great and so easy to work with, but also like offered us so much of that, warmth and that confidence, and like he was just like we were all scrambling throughout production, but when he was there, we were like.
He's so versatile too, because his character in The White Lotus is not that at all.
Yeah, it was like crazy.
Kind of like neurotic and not relaxed and angry. So it's amazing to see his range. So the ending where Ponyboi gets to live out the dream of we assume getting the hell out of Vegas finally, or New Jersey.
Yeah.
Was this always the ending, or did you talk about different choices for things that could happen to Ponyboi?
No, this was always the ending. Yeah, Ponyboi taking the reins of his life and going out to seek what is going to make him happy. But there was a moment, we shot several different things in that house that all informed the ending. But during the edit, we kept, trying different things, because I don't want to give away too much, but like, when movies kind of bring you to a point where it feels like it's too convenient, where the character gets everything that they were trying to get. And we wanted to complicate it to a degree, but we also wanted to bring that catharsis of like finding those things that would mean that their relationship with dad was healed without having to have, a heart-to-heart with dad as he's dying. And the same with mom, trying to find that piece of truth that would illuminate his whole past, and put things into a different perspective in order for Ponyboi to pick up and go, and now feel like they can shed that old skin and now become a fully realized person.
Right. Yeah. So this is your second feature. What advice do you think you would give to filmmakers who are embarking on a first feature?
I'm still trying to look for
Is it
that
a don't
myself.
do it?
Yeah. No, I think you have to, if you're trying to make your first feature, I would say like find a story that only you can tell and that you have to tell. Like your life depends on it. Because you are going to go through hell making it. It's literally like even if you have the best team, and you have no problems on set, it's going to be really hard.
Right.
Because at every turn you have to defend your choices, you have to direct your crew. Why are we doing what we're doing? And it's very taxing on your body and on your mind. And if you don't feel like this story that you're trying to bring to life is that important for you, you're just gonna check out, and it's not gonna be good.
That's the advice I got when I was writing my MA thesis. Actually,
Yeah.
it was pick a subject that you can't not do because you're gonna want to put it real bad.
Yeah.
You're getting it so bored and so frustrated. And after I was told that, I threw out my original idea because I was like, I don't love this as much as I really should to be able to spend so many hours researching and writing.
But also like your first feature, to me, it should represent what you value as a storyteller, the kinds of things that interest you and that you want to use as a sort of calling card. Because that's what people are going to ask you, like, oh, I saw your film, what's next? And if you say, well, I'm going to make Game of Thrones, it's going to be, well.
You can Marvel movie after this.
I don't know.
So this was just in Sundance. Is it going to be out? Coming out? Or is that still a question mark?
We're working on it, and we hope to share news with you soon.
Okay.
And that's all I can say.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm crossing my fingers. I think this is such a special film.
Thank you.
And I can't wait for people to see it.
Same.
Thank you so much for coming and talking to us today.
Thank you so much for having me, and thank you all for staying out. And it's cool.